So that's our tether, which we're not going to use this time. Drop that off. Run around the other side and grab the cedar. Okay, oh, the last thing we did in that was grass. Wheat, barley, oat, canola. We will do that. Oh, we've got 324 litres. What's that? That's lime. That's... also lime, I think. This is seed. Yeah, that's seed. So I'm probably going to need the telehandler over here before we go out into the fields. Okay. Put that there. Now, where did I leave the spiky thing? Over there. Okay. Oh, that's not my field. Oops. Field 4 is a grass field. It's good to know. And welcome to the stream, Best Buy Lax. Okay, let's drop that. This piece of equipment's a little bit of a luxury for this farm. We could do everything this is capable of with one of the tractors, but I decided to get it anyway. So to be honest, I've never used a telehandler in Farm Sim 17. At least not as far as I can remember. I also decided to use the big bags on this farm. And I know for a fact these tractors could not cope with the weight of the big bags. This thing barely can. Should be able to pick up 2 bags with the spike at the front. But this particular telehandler is the cheapest one available. It's a mod and it's not very heavy. There we go. And let's jump out of there and see how much is in. It's not full, but it may be sufficient. As I said, canola is quite an efficient crop to plant. So it's not like we're expecting to English words. We're not expecting to use a lot of seed on this particular round. Oh, and this tractor does have its own built-in weight on the front to try and offset the weight of the equipment on the back. So we'll close the lid. This also is a mod. I think the in-game seeder comes with a 3 meter working width, and this is 4. Now I'm not sure price-wise it's particularly cost-effective. The amount extra it cost versus the extra 1 meter working width. But it does mean you can get the job done in less time. So that's what we're doing. Oh. Okay. Run down this edge. Oh. Let's try that again. I drifted too far to the left. There we go. Now, one of the quirks of the game is you only use up seed with this particular seeder when you're not on a patch of ground that already has the type of seed you're planting in. If you use a seeder that also cultivates, you will cultivate the ground, which rips up what's in it, and will then use seed over again to plant the patch of ground you just drove over. So canola has a relatively good value, and so does soybeans. But you don't get a lot of yield from them. So return on a crop yield in Farm Sim is basically very much the same no matter which crop you plant. So the value of canola, let's say, is twice the value of wheat. You will get half the amount of canola out of a field than you would do wheat. But game terms, your saving is I don't have to empty the harvester quite so often. I don't have to have quite as large a wagon to collect the crop from the harvester in, and I don't have to have quite as large a wagon to take the crop to market. So going on that premise, I may have to unload a harvester 4 times and make 2 trips to market to sell wheat, whereas with canola I only have to empty the harvester twice, and it only takes me 1 trip to take all the product to market. But for the most part, there's really not a significant amount of difference between crop and income. Now, where the differences are is the value of the crop on the market. The crop could vary by sort of 80% to 120% of average value. So having a good mix of crop in storage means that whenever the value goes up for a crop, or for a crop type, if you've got that in your barns, then you can make a killing on that. And it doesn't matter that, well, I didn't plant wheat this time out because I have wheat in storage and I can take advantage of the good market conditions on wheat. And if the prices are all low on the stuff that you've harvested this year, so long as you don't need the money, you can sit on it for a while until the price recovers. And that's kind of the situation we're in right now. I mean, last year we did have an issue with weeds, and I had to go out and buy a weeder, which was not exactly unexpected cost, but it is. I wasn't planning on spending that money right this minute, type of deal. But we should not end up with any more situations like that. I've got enough fertilizer to last me probably 3 more planting seasons. I've got enough seed to last me for ages. Liming only needs to be done once every 3 harvests, and so I can probably skip out on that too. That rock's rather unfortunate. That's one of the ways the map maker stops us modifying the land to a great extent. You'll see on this field there's that copse of trees on the left. Now, I could maximize my planting area by chopping those trees down and ploughing in the grass and the shrubs under them. Unfortunately, there's a huge great rock on that area as well, so I can take the trees down and I can take the grass out, but I can't do anything about that rock. So there's always going to be a little island in the middle of this field that I can't use 100% of. So at the moment I'm inclined not to bother chopping those trees down. because the rock's always going to be in the way. Now on some other maps, I'm thinking Oakfield Farm also has a large field with a load of trees stuck in the middle of it, like that, but there's no rocks. So there could be seen to be benefit to chop the trees down and make the field not have an island of unusable land in the middle of it. Another way some folks do it is to have telephone poles or power lines in the middle of a field, which provides you with an obstacle and also limits what you can do. The farm we play on Tuesday, Old Stream Farm, does have power lines on it, but some of the buildings are what I call images only. They're not physical obstructions, which is kind of useful. But the obstruction, you know, the map itself calls for, say, power lines running across an area, but the map is relatively constricted. So, having the power line pole a physical obstruction can cause more frustration than you get fun out of the map. So some people don't mind physical obstructions. I mean, here we're working around them. Oops. There. But other people just get very annoyed with them and just, if I don't have to put up with fences and hedges, I'll pick a map that doesn't have them. It's almost like, how realistic do you want your map to be, or your gameplay experience to be? Did it again. Playing with a pair of mods. One is the gear shift, advanced driving mod, I think it's called, which gives me forward and reverse gear. So I can set my movement as go forward and stop, as opposed to one key to go forward, one key to go backwards. And I've also got what's known as the quick look mod, which allows me to change the direction I'm looking in. And I've got them all mapped to one hat switch, and every so often I don't hit it straight on, and so I change my view angle, and at the same time as I'm changing the forward reverse setting of the gearbox. What we'll do here, so as you saw there, I can reverse my view very, very quickly. Okay, so what I was saying earlier, this is the windrows. So this is a lot easier to just run a baler down one of those than it is to drive up and down the field multiple times to collect small amounts of grass. So it's an extra step you take, but it's one, it makes the overall job a lot easier. Now, if we do buy some big mowing equipment that does the rowing all in itself, we can get rid of our windrow. We won't need it anymore. Did I not lift that? No, I didn't. So we're going to get to the end of this. We're still going to have more than half a tank of seed, which is more than enough for the other field. Now sometimes I'll turn growth off while I'm doing this so I don't end up with a royal mess of growth stages on a field. I think we should be okay for this. I am going to want to put some fertilizer down here as well. The other downside of this particular seeder is it doesn't fertilize while you're planting. So, behind the rock. Edge it out a little bit. Tiny bit on the left there, or on the right there. And then the bottom of that island of trees. It still needs to be done as well. Oh, yeah, behind the rock. Now, I think in real life, what most farmers will do is they'll leave a little patch of dirt around the edge of the field, so that they don't waste seed on, on the patch of land outside of where they've set to plant. In the game, it's not as critical because you don't plant seed, or it doesn't deplete your seed supply when you're not in a field. Again. So to maximize in-game profit, you plant to the edge. to not waste stuff, you don't plant to the edge in real life. There's trees in the way. And that should pretty much cover the remaining area. Yeah, looks good. And up to the edge. Oh, sticking with this. There we go. So, come back to the yard. I'm going to drop that there. There we go. Stick it forward.